You're telling me that the Vita was discontinued 4 years ago, and this is what they came up with. This is not it. There's gotta be some further research going into creating an actual handheld that runs games natively through that console or handheld system. They really thought that they were gonna strap a Kindle Fire to the DualSense controllers and that we were just gonna be okay with it. This can't compete with the Steam Deck because it's not even in the same ballpark. This is a streaming handheld. It's an 8-inch screen with DualSense edge control. What do you think they're gonna call this? It's still very early for them to tell us anything about this thing other than that it's an 8-inch screen and that it's going to be able to stream your PS5 to it. Sony said that Project Q would be released later this year without providing a more specific time. Also unannounced just how much Project Q will cost. If this thing costs more than $199, it's already going into a losing battle. Most reception is negative. People want an actual handheld. This thing makes the Vita look like it was released last year, which was a proper handheld with actual games. It just didn't do well, but I feel like in the long run it did really well and people absolutely loved it. I just think the Vita never really got the chance to flourish or get the care and love that it deserved. I loved my PSP. I did not own a Vita, so I can't really speak too much on that, but I see from the outside looking in how much people praise it and wish there was an actual, next generation of that console. Here we have the DualSense Edge controller, which I feel like is pretty cool. I actually enjoy using this controller. The packaging and the case and everything, the sticks, the back buttons, everything feels pretty premium about it, and like some thought actually went into this thing, whereas this new Project Q handheld looks kind of like very low thought. I mean, even the backbone controllers, I think that's what the mobile controllers are called if I'm not mistaken, even those looked like they had more thought go into them than this thing. Obviously, I didn't expect for them to make a handheld with the power of the PS5 inside, kind of like these handheld PCs, the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally, but streaming only, I prefer that as an option versus just only being able to do that one thing. I've actually really enjoyed remote play on my Steam Deck the times that I have tried it. I have a video on Chiaki, which is a remote play alternative that you can use to stream your PS5 to your Steam Deck, and I was able to play a bunch of games and they ran really well, looked really well. Just overall, it was a great experience and I loved it as an option that added on to my Steam Deck experience, but I would not solely buy a streaming console, and that's why I've kind of ignored those, just because you buy this device, it's $100, $200, $300, and then you have to rely on your internet connection, and it's not always going to work as good as the last time, just based on what's going on with your internet. There's times where I've tried remote play on my Steam Deck and it was like, oh, okay, this is okay, and there's other times where it's like, oh, this is bad, or there's other times where it's like, oh, this is great, no one must be using the internet right now. You can literally use remote play on an iPad or on your phone even, so it's not truly innovative. Since the word was already going around that they were going to be dropping a streaming only handheld, I'm not completely disappointed, but I do wish that we had something to look forward to, or maybe this will lead into whatever the next handheld, if we get one, even is. It's just with all the handheld buzz going around with the Switch, and the Switch probably getting a future console in the near future, maybe not, but we have the Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and all these other handheld PCs which are taking the spotlight, and then we have streaming only handhelds like the Logitech G Cloud or the Razer Edge, I believe it's called. Those are also streaming only, but even those feel like more thought went into the actual design of the controllers. Maybe that's the secret sauce for this handheld. They want you to be able to feel the PS5's, abilities through a handheld. Since it is basically sporting a DualSense controller, you'll be able to take advantage of haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, I assume. And I guess that's pretty cool, but you're already also going to need a PlayStation 5 to use this thing, so price is going to really make or break something like this, just because if it's too expensive, people simply won't care. Optimistically speaking, hopefully this thing does get a low price. That would tempt me to at least try it out just for videos and things like that, but if it's too high up, then I really don't care. And optimistically looking into the future, hopefully this means that they're looking into or already researching on how to make an actual powerful handheld that can run games on its own. Kind of like the Vita, but hopefully with a power level closer to that of the PS5. I don't expect the exact performance of the PS5, but with smaller screens and lower resolutions, anything's possible, so I guess we'll see. These custom AMD chips that they're using in the PlayStation, the Steam Deck, the other handheld PCs, they're just showing what's truly possible in terms of performance and smaller form factor, so I guess, you know, not everything's out of the picture. They never actually show the screen detached from the controller, so I assume that it's going to be an all-in-one unit, and there is no detaching the screen from the controllers, but if they were smart or if they thought about this, it would have been a really cool idea, and I feel like people would have liked that more. Unlike the Switch, you can't just take the left controller out and slide it back on, or the right controller, or even have a little grip to put those together and make a Dualsense controller. I think that if they just made the whole thing modular or like detachable, to have a separate screen, interchangeable controllers, a back grip, just make the whole thing disassemble and piece together, I think that would have been pretty cool. If something were to get messed up, you could replace it later down the line, or if you just want to customize it, they could even come out with different colors of these portable controller thingy-majiggers, and you can customize it that way. Or like I said, later down the line, if they had a better screen to offer, you could just slide the old screen out and put in a new screen. That's just a thought. I know it's a little bit out there, but personally that's how I feel this thing would have been at least a little bit more interesting, because right now it just looks like someone just drew up a design in the design room and that's the first thing they came up with and that's what they went with. Literally a DualSense controller with a screen in the middle. Genius. Nonetheless, I guess this is a good thing for handhelds in general, because the more we're seeing other people get into it, the more it motivates different companies to do it better. So hopefully this incentivizes, you know, a better product later down the line. For now, when it comes to streaming PlayStation games, I guess I'll stick to doing it on my Steam Deck and trying it out on the ROG Ally when I finally get my hands on that. Just thought I'd give my peace of mind on this brand new PlayStation handheld. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.